Well, good afternoon. My name is Joshua Voris, and for our topic research project, I decided to do my project and presentation on a geneticist biography on Rosalind Franklin, who is personally my favorite geneticist, chemist, really just scientist that has ever lived. And today I want to talk about why she's kind of the forgotten heroine and this person who we've just kind of neglected, who really deserves a lot of credit for modern genetics and for modern science and what we know about DNA. So let's get into that. So Rosalind Elsie Franklin was born July 25th, 1920, and died April 16th, 1958. Now, she's a famous chemist, and she is, I shouldn't say credited, because she's actually not credited with the discovery of the structure of DNA, even though she's kind of the reason it was discovered. More on that later, though. She pioneered X-ray diffraction, and a lot of mystery surrounds her life and work, and that's what I want to talk about in the next slide and so on. So Rosalind's early life and education, she was born and died in London, England. She was exceptionally smart from a young age, and she wanted to be a scientist from even at the age of 15. Now, it is believed that her father was very against this idea and that he wanted her to be a social worker. However, I did some research, and it come to find out her sister has actually said that this was false and that her father was very supportive of her work and of her pursuits of wanting to be a scientist. But she goes on to attend North London Collegiate School and Newham College in none other than what is pictured here, Cambridge. So Rosalind's professional career had her working at as a research officer at the British Coal Utilization Research Association, and it's pictured here on the left, their old poster, I guess you could call it. But she went to Paris and became, and I really don't want to say this word, but I will butcher it, the Laboratoire Central des Services Chimiques de l'État. And that, in English, is the Central State Laboratory for Chemical Services. And I hope I do not get points off for butchering that word. But her time in Paris taught her X-ray diffraction, which is what led her to understanding the structure of DNA and being able to find that. And her most notable role was her aid in the discovery and structure, of course, of DNA, the double helix, which has sparked much controversy. Now, this is the interesting part, the DNA dilemma. So, the discovery of the double helix structure in DNA is often credited to these two gentlemen right here, at the bottom right, on the bottom left, Francis Crick and James Watson. Now, these two, the whole reason we have the DNA structure, and it's important to understand the double helix, is because that is the backbone of modern genetics, understanding that double helix and how it is twisted and how it unwinds to replicate DNA, and then it winds back up. So, like, really just the basis for DNA replication, leading to mitosis and meiosis. The reason you and I are here is because our DNA is a double helix and it can replicate. So yeah, it's just it's kind of the backbone of genetics. And so there's also a third member, Maurice Wilkins, was also credited. He's at the third guy, pictured here on the right, and he is attributed to the discovery as well. And Wilkins and Rosalind, Wilkins disliked Rosalind Franklin. They worked alongside each other, and they were both research associates, but he saw her more as an assistant as opposed to a researcher. He had gone off, and she had kind of continued working. When he came back, he mistaked her for an assistant, and really just never saw her, because she was a woman, as much more more than he was, or equal to him. And so after over 100 hours of production and a year of analyzing, Rosalind Franklin produced a clear picture that hinted at the structure of DNA. Photograph 51 is what it was called, and it clearly alludes to this idea of the double helix structure. It is believed, however, that Wilkins performed a big no-no in the scientific community. he took Franklin's picture without her permission, and he gave it to Watson and Crick, who were kind of at a standstill with their research, but then they see this photograph and, oh, they just so happen to be able to continue with their research. And then, oh, out of the blue, they figure out the structure of DNA. And they give Rosalind Franklin little to no credit, kind of just a subtle nod, like, hey, we used this picture. And then the three men went on to receive the Nobel Prize, and Rosalind Franklin did not, even though it wasn't their discovery. So besides, you know, her credit being taken away from DNA and the structure of it, her work in coal and carbon helped develop better filters and gas masks, which proved very useful in World War II. And in 2008, she honorarily won the Louisa Gross Hortz Prize, an award given to those who made an outstanding contribution to the field of biology and biochemistry. Of course, she has been long dead in 2008, so it was honorarily given to her, obviously. But much of her credit that was due to her wasn't actually given to her until many years after her death, and even then, no more awards were received because she's dead. And of course, here are my references to everything that I use, the pictures and the websites and the articles that I use to get all this information. In conclusion, I really just want to say that, as I said before, Rosalind Franklin is my favorite scientist just because I love mysteries, and I love kind of like the dramas when it comes to TV shows and movies. And here's a real life occasion and a real life event of something like that happening, and I really just think that Rosalind Franklin should be credited with the discovery of DNA, DNA structure, and she just doesn't get that credit. And it's really sad because she was very smart, a very gifted and successful woman in a time where that really wasn't it was looked down upon. And I just really think that she deserves the credit. And so I hope that this video has helped you to understand that she does indeed deserve that credit, and that you know, we don't forget about who she is. Thank you.